This is the Skyler Jarvis Show!
What's up, everybody? This is the Skyler Jarvis Show. I'm your host, Skyler Jarvis. And today, we're doing a boss rant. So, how you guys doing? How's everybody doing? Drop them in the comments. How is everybody doing during this lovely afternoon? That's when you'll be seeing this. So, yeah. How are all y'all doing? I'm doing pretty good. I've been working out, been getting pumped, getting on the ellipticals, the treadmill. And I'm going to start working on some upper body stuff in the upcoming weeks. So, yeah, that's been going down. Pray for my papaw. I mean, this is probably going to be like a week from now when y'all hear this. And papaw will be out by now. But papaw is having to have a surgery on his neck. He's going to be in the hospital. This is Sunday. He's going to be in the hospital Monday night. So, I trust God with, the doctors. He trusts them. I trust them. It's usually how, that's the way I see it. I trust God. He trusts God. He trusts his doctors. I trust his doctors. So, still, just pray for speedy recovery for papaw. He's probably going to be in a lot of pain after this. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. We're hoping that it's not that hard on him. He is getting a bit older. So yeah, pray for my papaw. And papaw, whenever you hear this, I want you to know that I'm praying for you. I know that God's going to take care of you, and I'm just gonna give it to Him. It's all I can do. And we love you, papaw, all of us. So, this Blind Lives Matter thing, man, it's really taken off. I did one with Margaret. I did the boss rant. I'm not gonna lie, I don't care for that boss rant. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like, there's some podcast episodes I look back on and I'm like, couldn't you have talked about something a little bit more? Gave it a little bit more detail on it and stuff like that. But the views on some of these videos, these Blind Lives Matter videos, I've got like so many different reactions, and y'all don't know how much that means to me. Like, I'm pretty new to this podcasting thing, and I just started it I started in March, actually. I got on Carson's podcast and then just started, building up a little, everybody, people were seeing it, and then next thing Carson just offers, like, hey, dude, you want to do a podcast? I'm like, sure. So, yeah. I feel like this podcast has come a long way. And I want to thank every single one of you guys, because that wouldn't be possible without the fans. It's the Skyler Jarvis Show, but the fans are what makes this show go, and what makes me want to keep doing these episodes, because people reach out and they're like, hey, I've seen your podcast, I love it, keep it going. And that really inspires me to make interesting podcasts. And I just want to thank y'all all for it. So, my discussion for today is new music that's been coming out recently. So, I think it was about a week ago, Linkin Park released their 8th album, From Zero. And it's pretty good. It is pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of skeptical. Like, I knew the songs were good, the songs that we got for it so far, but I just didn't know. Like, I knew it was going to be a good album. I just didn't know how good it was going to be. So, like I said on, I made a podcast. It's called Linkin Park's New Problem. That was my reaction to the new lead singer, Emily Armstrong, when she joined the band in September. So I did a podcast discussing that. Anyway, I feel like she's gotten a lot better from, I said that she might need to work on her voice a little bit. I think, her live performance is definitely getting better. And I mean, as I said on that episode, like, anybody that is in those type of shoes has got to be nervous to even try to pull something off like that. And, I will say she's got some really good moments on this new album. And there are, songs for me, like, there's a song called Cut the Bridge. There's a song called Casualty. But, like, those are some of my favorite songs off the album. And then Heavy as the Crown. It's a pretty good album. It's a pretty good album. I think a lot of there's a lot of Hybrid Theory vibes on this thing. And Meteora. Definitely the best I've seen them pull up, like, doing that style of Linkin Park songs. They did a really good job on making just songs that were really good. Two-Faced is another good one. I Give You Everything I Have. Oh, man, there's just, like, every song. I can't think of one that I really didn't, Overflow I didn't really care for, but, it's still a good song. Stained was kind of, I feel like that was, I don't know, I didn't like it as some of the, like, I did some of the others, but I still think it's a good song. It was just my least favorite out of all of them. So there's 11 songs on the album, 32 minutes, just, it's a breeze going through this thing. It's not even like, it just flies by because every song is a corker. Every song is so good. And for them to be doing that without their first lead singer, rest in peace, Chester Bennington, without their original drummer, to be doing something like that, it blows my mind. Like, I think they really did make one of the album of the year of 2024. So, yeah, as far as that goes, it's a really good album. There's been a lot of controversy, that I've been wanting to talk about a long time that concerns Linkin Park. And after they announced Emily Armstrong as their new vocalist, Chester's family members, especially his brother and his mom, came out and, was basically saying it's, them replacing a vocalist is tarnishing Chester's legacy, or it's doing this or that. No. Let me ask you something. There's bands before that have changed lead singers. Take Black Sabbath, for example. You know, when Ozzy left, everybody was skeptical on who they were going to bring in, if he was going to be as, you know, if he was going to be, you know, another Ozzy Osbourne. But, you know, no, he wasn't. And those two albums with Ronnie Dio ended up being some of their best albums. So, yeah, I mean, does that tarnish Ozzy's legacy? No. Avenged, you know, they didn't lose a vocalist. They lost a drummer in the Rev, or Jimmy Sullivan. He was a very good drummer, and he was only on 4 of their albums, but he died in 2009, and if the band would have, you know, stopped right then, we wouldn't have got Hail to the King, we wouldn't have got The Stage, we wouldn't have got the new Life is But a Dream, we wouldn't have got any of those. You know, is what they've done from 2010 onward, is that tarnishing the Rev's legacy? No. So, yes, I understand it's hard for some people to get into, you know, Emily Armstrong being, you know, it's a new voice behind the band. I mean, it can be hard for some people to get used to something like that, but, you know, you want to give somebody a chance I mean, on your own time too. Like, you know, if you want Chester Bennington, go listen to those albums with Chester Bennington. You know, those are good albums. Hybrid Theory, Meteora, Minutes to Midnight, 1,000 Suns, Living Things, all good albums. If you wanted Chester Bennington with Linkin Park, go listen to the Chester Bennington albums. And you don't have to like the new vocalist, but, you know, this is the band moving on, because I bet you none of that band just wants to sit around the rest of their lives. They want to get out and they want to play the music they love and that they wrote with Chester. And, you know, the fact that we even got an album out of this is remarkable. I mean, they didn't have to put an album out. They could have just gone on tour with Emily and just called it a day. But, you know, I think a lot of fans, you know, a lot of fans are divided, and a lot of fans are taking, you know, a lot of people are really looking forward to this new era. And I'm one of those. I'm really looking forward to seeing how different it's going to be, because, you know, I'm not looking at it as, you know, I've heard people say that, oh, they should have just formed another band. Okay, why should they stop being Linkin Park just because, you know, I mean, Chester was brought in. Good singer that he was actually brought in. There was another lead singer, I can't think of his name, but there was another lead singer before Chester. So he wasn't the original member of Linkin Park. Mike Shinoda was. So, you know, I think it would have been, I think it was for the band to decide. And they made a good decision, and they made I think a good album came out of it. So, with that being said, yeah, Linkin Park, I think I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I don't know. I find it hard to rate a lot of stuff, but I'm going to give it a 9. We got a new Machine Head song the same day the Linkin Park album dropped. And I only found this out that night, but apparently Machine Head is coming out with a new album in 2025. April of 2025. Now, I've said how many, on several episodes, how big of an influence Machine Head has been. And, after their last album, they've especially inspired me with, how heavy an album can get, but still be melodic and still be, like, groovy. You know what I'm saying? It's so heavy. Like, it's definitely a more thrashy metal sound, but, with a little bit of groove and, even a little bit of death metal, influences, now that Vogue is in the band. But I think that last album just blew my mind wide open. So this new song, it's called "These Scars Won't Define Us," and it's actually got three bands singing with Machine Head. So 4 bands in total, or at least I think just the lead singers. But dag nab, what a song. And it's supposed to be on the new album, so these bands actually are going on tour with each other. They're going to be on the same tour next year. So I think when the new album drops, they're going to take these guys out on tour. In Flames, Lacuna Coil, Unearth. If anybody knows of those bands, I haven't really got into either 3 of them, but dagnab, they all did a good song on this. They all did a good job on this song. Good gosh, I'm trying to get all my words out. So, yeah, these scars won't define us. I honestly thought it was a leftover from of Kingdom and Crown. Like, I mean, the drums kind of felt like, yeah, if it kind of felt like it was left over from the last album. But then I got to looking that night, and there was a post on Facebook about it, I think, and it, near the bottom it said this song is part of their upcoming album slated for April, and I'm sitting here like, holy crap, another Machine Head album already? How the time is flying by. Like, last time before of Kingdom and Crown, we had to wait 4 years for that one. So that's 3 years since of Kingdom and Crown in 2025, April 2025. Yeah. So they either wait 3 or 4 years in between albums. And that leads into a discussion I want to make on this podcast. People just drop albums, like several albums a year. Like, a lot of rappers do this, or mixtapes. But I honestly think it's better for an artist. I mean, yeah, it keeps the artist on the radar if you just put out music, put out more. But I feel like if you wait a bit and let that album cycle take its course, do what you want to do with the album, and then put another one out like 3 or 4, maybe 5 years later at the most. And Well, I mean, some can be 6 and 7 years, and some 13. Tool. So, I really think Gap albums, if they're done right, they can be just masterpieces of an album because the artist was taking its time. They're taking their time with their album and making sure all the pieces are put together before they put it out for the world to see. And I think that, you know, if you're not just putting one out every 2 years, you know, that can really be helpful, you know, especially if you hit like a writer's block and you feel like you got to get an album out every 2 years. You know, you're not going to, you know, you could take a little bit more time on the album, and then whenever the album is done, put it out. We got Adele's 30 that way, and I've heard people say that's a good album, but man, that's another classic. Like every time Adele comes out with an album, she does Gap albums. And we got 19, her first album in 2008. We got 21 in 2011. We got 25 in 2015, and then we had to wait until 2021 for 30. And I think it was a really good payoff. Like, all of those albums are straight classics, dude. All of them. 19, I think she was still getting started. I think, you know, it was a good album, but it's definitely not as, I feel like it wasn't as good as some of the others that, you know, would come after, but it was a good starting point. And just every album after 19 has just been straight bangers after one after the other, and you can tell she really has passion in her music. And she doesn't just, you know, look for another hit. That's what a lot of artists do. They're chasing after another hit. And then they get it, and then they get another, and then they get another, and then they get another, and they get obsessed by just one more hit. I just want one more hit. And for artists like Adele, it's not really about that. It's about making music that people can feel and relate to. And Adele does that so good, man. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this new Machine Head album. April 2025. The podcast's still going around that time. We'll discuss it on here. Heck yeah, we're gonna discuss. I think I'm gonna start doing maybe, you know, book reviews or album reviews, you know, separate from the podcast. That way, you know, I could give my thoughts on a lot of this stuff, you know, and just put it up on YouTube. So, yeah, man. Album of the year. It's getting close to the end of the year. And I'm starting to wrap up, you know, November, December, I start wrapping up. You know, most of the time there's not many big albums that come out in December. They might be. I don't know. There might be one come out and surprise me. The new Kendrick album was alright. I think it was more of Not Like Us. You know, that Drake diss song. I think it was just like more of that style of rapping, and I like the album for what it is, but I don't think it's one of his better albums, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, I don't know. My opinion might change, but honestly, I don't think it's going to. I mean, it's not a bad album. I just don't think it compares to some of his other works. Your Damn, your To Pimp a Butterfly, your Good Kid, Mad City, Section 80 even. All of those are good albums. The new Eminem album, I honestly am a huge fan of this new Eminem album. The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace. I love that name. I love that name. And I got the CD for it. Like I haven't got. I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't got an Eminem CD in my collection. I think since Revival, but I gave that was Marshall Mathers LP2. Really, I got it in 2014. So that's been my first Eminem studio album since Marshall Mathers LP2 that I've had on CD. And this whole album is just amazing. It's the satire's there, the alter ego's there. It's the death of Slim Shady. Come on, man. You gotta love it. Usher's new album, Coming Home. That's a big contender because it was so good. I honestly didn't know how it was going to be when it came out, but I listened to it and man, this is a really good album. Like, this is the best, I think, since Raymond vs. Raymond, which I think was a really good album. So, yeah. There's 20 songs on it. Really good album. Go listen to it. I'm gonna end up making a album of the year list for 2024, and you can check what's gonna be on there when it comes out this December. So, if you're not watching this on Apple Podcasts or if you are watching this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, if you want to see the album reviews I'm going to be doing, go to my YouTube page because it's not going to be on the podcast. That's going to be something exclusively to Skyler Jarvis Media. So again, if you want to see my album of the year list for 2024, go to my YouTube page whenever it comes out. I'll let you know when it comes out and we get down to business. So, I really hope you've been enjoying this podcast. And again, before I wrap it up, I just want to say thank you for all the support, all the comments, everything y'all have done, all the shares, the likes, everything. Thank you so much. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And turn on all notifications if you want to keep up to date with everything I'm doing here. And thank you again. So without further ado, this is Skyler Jarvis signing off. Peace!